The effects of post-COVID migration on Australia's economic performance between the years 2022 to 2025. When considering migration, a central question arises. Does it serve to primarily alleviate critical skill shortages, or does it impose macroeconomic costs by amplifying inflationary pressures on Australian households? Post-COVID migration has significantly influenced Australia's macroeconomic performance by reshaping labour supply, aggregate demand, inflation, and long-term growth potential. Australia has witnessed a surge of up to 500,000 peak annual net migration in September 2023, recording its highest figure after the pandemic. But what has contributed to this? First, we have pent-up demand. After 2 years of COVID international border closures, a significant backlog of visa applications were processed. Second, record low unemployment. The unemployment rate hit a 50-year low of 3.5%, witnessing an extremely tight labour market, resulting in a surge of up to 100,000 temporary and permanent skilled visas post-COVID. Third, you have simply people aren't leaving. The increase of visa extensions underneath the Morrison-Albanese government has led to an increase in net migration.
Given Australia's strong post-pandemic rebound with a real GDP growth of 4.2% in 2022 and 3.4% in the next year, high migration further boosted consumption and aggregate demand. So in the short run, wages and prices are sticky and do not immediately adjust to increased demand, meaning firms expand production. Actual output therefore exceeds potential output, creating a positive short-run output gap, and that creates demand pull inflation. Combined with cost-push pressure from the Russia-Ukraine war and early 2022 flooding, CPI inflation reached 7.8% year-on-year in December 2022 and 4.1% in 2023.
While not the sole driver of inflation, migration did amplify price pressures. In response, the RBA tightened monetary policy by increasing the cash rate from 0.1% in April 2022 to 4.35% by November 2023. This led to higher real interest rates, thus increasing borrowing costs and slowing economic activity. This relationship is best highlighted by the IA's MP curve, as an increase in the real interest rate from point R to capital R moves the economy up along the curve from point A to point B. Given point B lies to the left of point A, this represents a contraction in short-run output. By narrowing the positive output gap, such policy actions help stabilize economic fluctuations around potential output, thus moderating inflationary pressures. Ultimately, tighter monetary policy combined with contractionary fiscal policy and easing cost-push pressures help reduce CPI inflation from 7.8% year-on-year in 2022 to 3.2% in 2024. This, however, came at a massive cost to Australian households, as higher interest rates help reduce living standards.
In the long run, the wave of post-COVID migration can lead to long-term economic growth, which is driven by the accumulation of non-rival ideas as highlighted in the Roma model. The growth rate of ideas is the product of the technology sector productivity, the proportion of the labour force in the technology sector, and the total labour force. Post-COVID migration increases the labour force, and if migrants are disproportionately employed in innovation-intensive sectors compared to the existing labour force, then the research share will rise. This increases the research-adjusted labour force, resulting in a higher growth rate of ideas. In this case, there will be a steeper growth path for the log output per capita, as shown by the red line, reflecting a permanently higher growth rate. However, this ideal outcome is not guaranteed. In 2023 to 2024, nearly 70% held temporary visas, with international students accounting for a quarter of total arrivals, while only 13% of arrivals with skilled migrants. While this composition increases labour supply, temporary migrants and students contribute little to long-term idea production if they do not remain in Australia. Moreover, if migrants enter production more than research relative to the existing workforce, the research share will fall. If this reduction outweighs the increase in labour force, the research-adjusted labour force will decline, slowing idea growth and shifting the economy towards the green trajectory in the diagram. To maximise potential benefits of migration, the government should aim to increase the share of skilled migration, build upon current policies such as the Skills in Demand visa in order to increase the share of migrant workers who enter the research sector. There should also be high international student retention through post-study work rights and simplified PR pathways to help convert temporary arrivals into long-term contributors. Secondly, there must also be a scaling of capacity alongside population growth for migration to be positive on living standards. Increasing infrastructure, particularly in areas of housing, transport and technology, is crucial to removing bottlenecks and avoiding previously experienced inflationary pressures from migration.
So overall, post-COVID migration has played a decisive role in shaping Australia's macroeconomic trajectory between 2022 and 2025. In the short run, migration amplified inflationary pressures, forcing the RBA to tighten monetary policy. In turn, this reduced inflation but at the cost of lower material living standards. Over the long term, by expanding the labour force, diversifying human capital, and fostering innovation throughout the economy, migration enhances TFP and long-run growth consistent with the Roma model. The overall macroeconomic impact of post-COVID migration migration is therefore a net positive, contingent on short-run pressures being balanced against long-run gains. With balanced governance and policy making, migration will continue to function as the cornerstone of Australia's economic resilience, underpinning sustainable economic growth in the years ahead.